is the furthest extent that you could take self-improvement. This principle follows Wolff's law that a bone is going to grow back stronger.
You would hit yourself in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, bone smashing is legit.
But there are different ways you can improve yourself.
Right, but what's going to actually get you further in life?
What is looking better for?
I'm someone who just wants to mog, essentially. I'm getting a double jaw surgery in a couple weeks from now.
I'm Michael, and I've had the privilege of sitting down with people from a wide variety of backgrounds.
Priests, exorcists, scientists, refugees.
You're a good-looking guy. I don't think that makes me gay to say you're a good-looking guy. You have looksmaxxed. What is looksmaxxing?
Looksmaxxing is the furthest extent that you could take self-improvement, right? So we've seen a lot of, different forms of that over the years, mostly with bodybuilding. I would say was the main one for a while for men, from about 2010 up until 2020. And then it sort of shifted into looksmaxxing that kind of crept into the space from different niche, forums. And it's very obvious that, the face is more important than the physique. So people were doing the self-improvement and it wasn't really getting them the results that they needed. So that's why the further step needed to be taken to sort of go about improving upon your entire life. But I'm just adding that extra layer, that extra piece of key nuance that I feel like has been out of the equation for the longest time, especially in a lot of like the manosphere discussion.
Can I ask how old you are?
19.
When did you get into this?
When I was 14 years old, I started taking exogenous hormones, testosterone, and then it became more of a shift from bodybuilding-oriented stuff into more looksmaxxing stuff over the years.
Why did you do that?
For facial masculinization, optimizing all of my growth pathways so that I could have like a
super physiological puberty.
It's a now or never mentality, right? So once your growth plate's closed, there's nothing you could do.
That's like the transgender argument.
So it's the exact opposite.
Why?
So I'm a bit of an autist. There's this thing that could get me to my desired physique quicker. Like, why wouldn't I do that?
Are you still taking them?
I'm just on TRT.
What's TRT?
Testosterone replacement
Yes,
therapy.
yeah, okay. You hear about like 50-year-old guys doing that.
Yeah, well, it seems a little ridiculous that to optimize my testosterone levels to where they realistically should be as a male, I have to wait until I'm like 30 years old is like the common cope that you hear on the internet. And testosterone levels have been declining rapidly across generations. So I'm kind of just placing myself where we, evolutionarily should be.
I know nothing about this. What is gynecomastia?
That is, the glandular tissue and your nipples growing. So there was like a time where I went like hypogonadal for a month or two.
Hypergonadal?
Didn't have any testosterone production just for like a month or two. And that was probably the worst 2 months of my life.
Yeah.
Having zero male sex hormone, you have no libido, no sex drive. So yeah, just making sure to avoid that is very important.
You started taking the drugs. Your parents finally find out about this. What did they tell you?
Well, they would just take it away. So no more steroids, like take away the Xbox Classic. But I'm just someone who is willing to do whatever needs to be done, so I would just reorder it.
Why was that your goal?
What's going to actually get you further in life? What's going to get you opportunities in the workplace, dates with prettier women? It's going to be looks 100 times over. Someone to ascend from maybe, slightly below average to above average through looksmaxxing, or for them to achieve that desired amount of wealth for a supermodel to date them. It just seems like, we should be telling people to go the looks route.
Why?
Because it's easier. It's more realistic. I think that, learning a high value skill is one of the most important things that you could do. I'm just saying that it's going to be easier for you to actually ascend and overcome a lot of the disparities in the dating market through looks. So I'm saying a well-rounded mogger is kind of required with how difficult the scene is these days.
I sometimes think that I got the last chopper ad nom, because I'm a millennial. Man, if I had to date in the year of our Lord 2025, I would be very upset. I would have to learn how to mog. I would have to learn how to mew.
So what that looks like in terms of a hypergamy standpoint was, maybe you had a girl from your town who's going to try to date above her looks level, maybe just in her immediate surroundings. But now we've got people like, professional athletes DMing them on Instagram, flying them out. So you're not just competing with the top chads of your 15-mile radius, you're competing with the entire world. So it's the
chads of the world, maybe who even live in Chad.
Well, I doubt it. It's becoming increasingly difficult to compete as like the average guy. So there's this purgatory zone where even someone who's average to above average could be struggling to secure a long-term relationship. Main thing that you need to understand is the halo effect. I don't know if you've heard about this. The halo effect is that people are going to perceive the things that you say and the things that you do a lot better if you're good looking. Just your overall well-being, if you're an unattractive person and no one even wants to look at you in the elevator, no one even wants to shake your hand or acknowledge you, It's horrible for your mental well-being, and that's why I think looksmaxxing goes a lot further than just getting a girlfriend.
Looks are the most important thing in life.
Yeah. Your subconscious tells you if someone is genetically disfortunate that they are lesser than you, and you have to kind of fight that to acknowledge them as an equal. So if you've got to go against like your biological instincts to have a belief system, it already kind of just makes it a little bit difficult.
Do people like the tanner people or the whiter people?
The tanner people, actually, and they've done a lot of different surveying about this. Tanned European phenotypes are the most ideal.
I thought the idea was people value whiteness more, and whiteness is considered more beautiful than brownness or blackness. But you're saying no, it's basically you need to Sicilian max, and then you're in a good spot.
It could even be as simple as getting leaner. Lean maxing is a big part of looksmaxxing, and that's arguably the most important thing that you could do.
Is that it? Is that where it maxes out?
No, so I'm getting a double jaw surgery in a couple weeks from now. They're just doing an osteotomy on both of the jaws and then advancing them forward. I'm someone who just wants to mog, essentially. I don't really care about getting girls. That's kind of lost its novelty. I just want to mog people, better halo effect, and just better overall quality of life through my looks.
What do we mean by mog, I guess?
A mogger is someone who's just like, I would say, the peak human, and that's kind of what I'm going for, and that's in all metrics.
There is a warning against, in the Christian religion, pride, excessive love of one's own excellence, against vanity, against making idols out of the material things of this world.
I could see how it could, but I don't really think that it necessarily would in my case.
It is easier for the camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a wealth-maxed mogger to enter into the kingdom of heaven.
I don't really have too much regard for the spiritual aspect when I'm trying to looksmax.
Do you want a girlfriend?
I'm a little bit young. I'm kind of focused on career right now.
But I had my first girlfriend when I was 12, and then I dated in high school. Ended up marrying my high school sweetheart, albeit later.
Yeah, no, that's another cope. I would say that's probably not a good idea. First of all, you've got to identify a girl. Shoot her a first inquiry, an Instagram message or a cold approach. So we're already like down 2 hours. Then you have to go and do an activity, God forbid, maybe 4 or 5 hours doing some jester maxed, like bowling.
What is jester maxed?
They're clowns. I think of it like you're this big jester, like doing these silly like activities, like you're basically like just an activity cell. Like, what are you doing? Like bowling? It would be a comical idea to put my career at a standstill for a girlfriend.
Are you in college?
No, I actually got expelled from college.
Why'd you get expelled from college?
For looksmaxxing, essentially, I got caught with steroids in my dorm room and I got kicked out.
How long is the recovery for the jaw surgery?
About 6 months.
Have any of the doctors said, hey, man, you don't really need this surgery?
No, not really. You improve that much in looks, the opportunities that are going to be available to you will absolutely exceed the $35,000 investment. Being like the top, like 0.01 percentile of men in terms of looks, it's just a guarantee for success. Like, you can't lose. There's really no losing.
There are plenty of hot people on social media who aren't that successful.
That's also people who are low IQ. What are we talking about by hot? Like good looking? Like some people think that like Sydney Sweeney is extremely attractive.
I would say Sydney Sweeney is very attractive.
I would say that she's pretty malformed. Her upper maxilla is extremely recessed. She's got the eyes of doom with no infraorbital support. I think that a lot of people with porn brains find her attractive because of her body.
I don't have porn brain. So who's really beautiful?
Gisele Bündchen and Taylor Hill.
Gisele Bündchen, was she the one married to Tom Brady?
Correct.
Yes.
Right. So
you think she's hotter than Sydney Sweeney?
In her prime, yeah, absolutely. Because of her facial harmony scores. There's measurements that you could take of everyone's face to figure out exactly how attractive they are. It's an objective thing.
Fat girls are being pushed in pornography.
You would see in like the 90s and the early 2000s, like with modeling, it was like a very skinny look. The face was very angular. I would say that porn probably did the most damage to what's pushed. You might as well adapt to the times instead of doing all these copes like political activism, when this is just the way that the world is going to go and the way that it's going to continue to go. I'm personally an accelerationist, so I'd like to see where things are going to go, because I can only assume that the dating market is going to get worse and worse.
Immanentize the eschaton, let's bring it up to the end, let it all fall apart, and then we can finally rebuild something good. At a very real level, I love trannies.
But the problem is, you see what you just did there is you spiked your cortisol thinking about transgenders.
I don't want to spike the football or spike my cortisol and just mog all over them. I want them to live lives that are good and flourishing.
Think about all the time that you've spent throughout your entire life talking about trannies. What if you were to dedicate all that time to bone smashing?
What is bone smashing?
It's where you induce microfractures, and this principle follows Wolff's law that a bone is going to grow back stronger, after you induce these localized microtraumas. So you're going to lay in your bed to brace your head for CTE, and you're going to bone smash.
Do you punch yourself in the face?
Yes.
How hard?
Like reasonably.
Are there any downsides to hitting yourself in the head with a hammer?
No. This next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom Oggs.
J.D. Vance is subhuman?
Yeah. He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad. It's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even be in shape, Not to mention, you look at like J.D. Vance, I'd say he's probably like more concerned with like doing trips to India and like, taking pictures in front of the Taj Mahal than actual politics. Because of the halo effect and the subconscious bias, politics is not about like good policy anymore. It's just about like rhetoric and presentation. If it weren't for Trump's rhetoric and charisma, he wouldn't have won in 2016.
This is where I totally disagree.
Most people who vote for Trump don't even know what he stands for.
I don't think that's right.
I think if Trump were to run for the opposing party and Hillary were to run for the Conservative Party, I think we would have had Trump win as a Democrat.
You're saying just based on looks?
Yeah, just based on charisma, looks, and Gavin Newsom absolutely blows Vance out of the water. He is objectively more harmonious facially. I don't really think that right-wingers should just give support to these jesters who continue to underdeliver on their promises. Just let the Democrats win. That's kind of what I'm talking about. For the RNC to just demand voters to continue to show up, for what, really? It's just, that's the cope. Do you honestly believe that J.D. Vance is going to be the next president? I would probably bet every last cent I own that Gavin Newsom would win. No one wants to vote for like a woman. There's still a lot of like moderate Democrats who are just like, okay, this is silly. We're just not here yet. I think they still think that, a woman should be president, which is absurd to me. So Kamala is not only a woman, but she's an ugly one at that. So the DNC's they've got to know by now. I think they're not going to make the same mistake that they did, which is why Gavin will definitely get the primary.
You ever see young Hillary? I think she actually looked pretty good.
Not good enough to stop Bill Clinton from cheating on her. I feel like Bill Clinton did probably the same thing that most people would do if they were president, to slay in the Oval Office.
Plenty of adulterous presidents who slayed. JFK, of course, FDR, all these guys.
Well, that's like achieving pinnacle status and leveraging it. So I think that's like kind of the point of like status maxing.
You think that turning an intern into a human humidor in the Oval Office is status maxing?
Yeah, that's like the textbook definition of like status maxing. If we're living in a society that rewards hypergamy and rewards having a lot of sexual partners and slaying, and you're like the top like echelon of men, you're the president of the United States, you mog, and you're not taking advantage of that, that just seems like a missed opportunity to me. It's just about positioning. Society's going to go the way that society's going to go. How are you positioning yourself as an individual? Men are doing worse than they ever have in almost every metric, and the only way to overcome that is just focusing on oneself to the maximum, doing whatever it takes to its end. Simply what I'm suggesting is that you focus on the looks, money, status, increasing those, doing whatever it takes to achieve that, and after you've achieved that, your positioning will be better. What you're able to accomplish or what you're able to strive for increases exponentially. I think you would probably agree with that. If these three metrics are increased, what you're able to accomplish goes up.
You do meth?
Yeah. Sometimes I do recreational drugs. Psychedelics are like one of those leftist drug selections that really just are mind-boggling. Like, made me giga paranoid. I had to lay down in the back of my car for like 8 hours. LSD, not good at all.
Are there any of the recreational drugs you like?
Yeah, cocaine. I'm gonna do a roid cycle again, and then I'll continue upon improving my physique.
Harder or easier for women to Looksmaxx than men?
If you're ugly as a woman, like, it's over. Like, you could cope your way into a corporate position and make a little bit of money, but who gives a shit? Like, if you're an ugly broad, it's over for you. Obviously, women aren't going to hold themselves accountable and like be moral people. So it's a job of men to shape the society. Like, really,
monogamy.
Monogamy is anything but the ideal.
Yeah, no question. Clavicular, this has been a maximally enjoyable discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for coming in.
Appreciate it.